Good morning, Year 12. Mr. Hughes here. I hope you're okay. I think we're going into week 4 of lockdown. I'm assuming that you've started your coursework and you've done P1. If you haven't, then a little health warning. Can you get that done? We are underway and that train is moving. Okay, so you need to join us and make sure that your coursework is underway. Otherwise, when you come back to school, you can have a nasty surprise. So, get on to show my homework, check that you've done P1, check that you're on Google Classroom, you've got your Google Docs and you're underway. Alright, that's good if you have, so keep that going. Today we're going to look at P2 and I'm going to go through that. And also we're going to do a little bit of retrieval. So what you can see there is 5 questions on our favourite subject, which is finance. Everybody loves a bit of finance. And we've got 5 questions. I want you to have a little look at those questions and see if you can answer them. Just take a moment. We might have a little bit of an uncomfortable silence as you're working through them, but that's okay. So, looking at it, what is break even? Or what is the purpose of it? Have a little think about that. Then get on to number 2, downside of crowdfunding, to do with sources of finance. How would you describe their interest works on a bank loan? You don't need to write these down. I just want you to have a think about them. Just get those grey cells working. What's the purpose of cash flow? What is the difference between gross profit and net profit? Come on, have a go. Okay, you can pause that if you want to think through and work through them. You can pause the video because I'm about to give you the answers. So, break even is used because it gives us the point at which we neither make a profit nor we would make a loss. It tells us how many units we need to sell to cover our costs to break even. We use it to monitor our performance, our sales on a monthly basis. Downside of crowdfunding, if you don't hit your target, you don't get the funding. How does interest work on a bank loan? Well, it is the cost of borrowing and is worked out as a percentage of the initial borrowing. What is the purpose of a cash flow? It does not show you profit. It shows you inflows and outflows, and it allows you to manage and plan the money coming in and the money going out and pressure points throughout the year. It is a forecast, so it is just an estimate. It is not set in stone. And what's the difference between gross profit and net profit? Well, gross profit is before expenses are taken away. So it's sales revenue minus cost of sales. Net profit is gross profit minus your total expenses. Okay, a little walk down memory lane there for you. Let's get on to P2 now. So P2, first of all, our command word is describe. We are not doing pros and cons. It is just a little summary, a detailed summary of what market analysis is. There's a wordy textbook definition there for you, full of further longer words. Quantitative, qualitative assessment. Essentially, market analysis is look before you leap. And if you've got a new product, what's happening in the market? Is this market viable? Am I doing the right thing? And if we look at the definition, it looks at maybe the size of the market, the value of it, who's the customers, what's the competition. Is now the right time to be doing it? Don't answer that question. Don't mention coronavirus. So let's have a look at what market analysis entails. It covers 3 elements. Now, this is what you will be summarizing. This slide is important. This slide gives you structure to your write-up. So market analysis looks at identifying certain elements in the market. The size, who's the market leader. If we were talking about supermarkets, we'd be looking at Tesco's being the market leader and then going down through into the discounters. The size of the market, how many billions, how many millions, how many thousands, depending on the size of the business. So there's the first one. That's where you identify the market structure. Is that market growing? I'm on to the second bullet point now. I'm here to identify potential market growth. Is this market something I want to be going into, or is the market shrinking? And then finally, who's the competitors, who am I up against, and then we're going to look at market mapping a little bit later on. Right, let's take an example. So if we look at Virgin Galactic, I know I've used it before, but it's just easy at times like this. Virgin Galactic, Richard Branson, he wants to send people into space as a tourist, potential as a tourist into the tourist market. Have a little look at it online if you haven't seen it, but I think you have. But if not, yeah, have a look. So he wants to send rich people up into space. I think they go up there for a few hours, and then they come back down, and I think they pay something like 250,000. I might be wrong. 250,000 for the thrill of it. So before he goes into that, if we just look over here, he needs to look at this market, okay? He needs to look at the type of people, what's their buying patterns, what's their lifestyles, their hobbies, their interests, where are they, who are they likely to be, their age, gender and income. Have a little think about who would go for that. Somebody would want to go into space, spend £250,000 on a few hours up there. My guess is it's going to be somebody who's a millionaire or a billionaire. So when we look at the market, we can see that the number of billionaires is growing in the world. So is that market worth going into? Is it growing? Yes, it is. Who's my customers? We're having a look down here to see who they are. They're likely to be flash business people, maybe inherited a lot of cash. Who knows? But they're going to have a lot of watch, all right, and they're going to be wanting to flash that cash and to be one of the first people to have gone on that tourist venture. Then we look at the competition. Is there anybody else doing it? I think there are. I'm not quite sure of their names, but I think there's other businesses, a few in India who are looking to do it as well. And because it's new, I dare say that market is going to be a big market. And if Virgin are first, they're going to have the largest market share. Don't need to look at transport trends. Or maybe we do. Maybe we need to look at the holiday industry and which holidays are popular. But I dare say they will be the first to be the ones who go into space. So I'm doing some analysis. I'm looking at the market, I'm looking at the competition, I'm looking at my customers, I'm looking to see if it's growing. In summary, what I'm doing is market analysis. And from that, I'll be making questions as to whether I should be doing it or not. And the first question is there a benefit? Well, these benefits, for ease here, I've listed a lot of them, all right? But you're going to get a competitive advantage by looking at the market. I'm spending, but am I making a profit? Will I be the market leader? Should I be dropping other products to put money into Virgin Galactic? Should I be getting rid of my trains, possibly? Maybe planes, even, depending on how we move forward in the world in the current climate. I doubt that, though. And then how do I advertise? How do I make the product suitable for my segment? So if I've done my market analysis, I will benefit from these things here. Right. I mentioned earlier on that I'd go on to market mapping. Sorry about the image that I've used here, but I think we can deal with this, and I'll describe what it is. So first of all, market mapping is another market analysis where you look at your products and possibly your competition and you categorize them. So over here we've got problem childs, okay, then we've got stars, then we've got dogs, and then we've got cash cows, and these are placed on a graph with two axes. So the y-axis is market growth. So is this market growing? And we've got low to high, okay? And then we've got market share. So what percentage of the market, what percentage of customers use you? So there's a low percentage that prefer your provision, and there's a high one. So let's go through the categories. Problem childs, lots of potential but haven't made it yet. Stars, well, if we look at stars, they're high market share in a market that's growing. That's why it's a star. A problem child is a problem child. It has potential because it's in a market that's growing, but you've got low market share. You're over this end of the market. Okay. Dogs, well, they're called dogs because, well, low market share and low growth. So they're in a market that's not growing and you're one of the worst in there. So things like, well, virgin fuels maybe in terms of petrol, the soft drinks, sugary drinks. If we look at current climate, they're slow markets and they haven't got high market share. Cash cows tend to be safe. Well, what is safe these days? But previous to the current climate, you have got Virgin Atlantic, Virgin Trains. That's when they have high market share for Virgin, and the market's not going anywhere, but it's markets that are well established. Okay, so they're cash cows. So if we look at these now, from doing market mapping, what am I thinking? Well, I want to take these problem childs here and I want to turn them into stars. Now that needs funding. So there's two things I can do. I can either get rid of virgin fuels and virgin soft drinks, save that money, and then what I can then do is plough that money from there into there. Okay? And from doing that, I can then turn the problem child into a star. Or what I can do is take the cash from my cash cows, my safe markets, and invest them into my problem childs, so that what I can do is then I can then turn them into a star. And that is how market mapping works. Hope you got that. Obviously, watch it again, pause, rewind, do what you need to do to understand that. For example, that you can use if we look at chocolate bars. We've got market mapping. We could base it on the quality, we could base it on price, and we could look at where these chocolate bars stand within the market. So that's another way to map your market. But obviously the previous slide that I've done is your typical one. Let's go to your write-up. So let's just get rid of that a sec. So for your write-up, you need to summarize the 3 elements of market analysis. So let's look at these summaries of market analysis. All right. So what we're looking at here, this is your first element of, bear with me. Let's highlight actually. So we've got, there's one element, there's another element, and there's another element. So you've got market structure, summarize that. What is it? Why do businesses do it? And you can go back over and you can categorize them, explain them. You don't have to go through any analysis, but you do need to give me the benefits. Okay, so you should have 3 significant paragraphs on each element, what they are, give me a description, and then you should have another 3 significant paragraphs on the benefit of finding out the market structure, the benefit of identifying potential growth, and the benefit to recognize competitors. You can use examples, use your own examples, don't just use mine. It should be about maybe a page and a bit. Okay, good luck with that, and send me an email if there's any problems. Thanks a lot.